The gift of life helps people. That's what Arlene did. The gift of life gives hope to people. That's what Arlene did. She gave hope to people. The gift of life gives life to people, and that was what Arlene did.
Right away, I got the impression, here's a woman that really cares, very loving, very giving, always cared about you as a person, was always interested in what was happening in your life, and was there through happy times and sad times for any of her friends or family. It was a privilege to know her.
Well, I certainly remember Arlene being everyone's Jewish mother. She took care of everyone that came in contact with her. She invited us into her heart and into her home. She was always preparing food for everyone and making sure that everyone was content and happy as you can be when you're doing such important work. The family was told pretty much that Jay should just get his affairs in order, enjoy his life, and call it a day. And Arlene would not take that as a solution. She just made the decision that she was going to do whatever it took to find a donor for Jay. And if that included testing half of the known world, she was going to do that. And she did.
So I went over to the Feinberg's house in West Orange, New Jersey, and they were operating off of their dining room table, running drives, getting as much publicity out as possible. I would describe Arlene as passionate, dedicated, and very genuine in her approach. So we knew she all had a mission to do, but that didn't stop her from getting to know people along the way and having a genuine interest in everyone.
Arlene had more energy than any 10 people I knew. She was a lady at all times. She was gracious, she was gentle, she was unflappable, but she was determined. And she never took no for an answer. I think one of her greatest qualities was her ability to relate to people. And everyone that came in contact with her became her friend.
I don't know that anybody could have said no to Arlene. How could you say no to a woman who was endearing? She got right into your heart. She was persistent. She knew what needed to be done. She explained everything absolutely clearly. And most important, she always smiled and she kind of held your hand and she kind of just connected with you. When you connect with somebody and they have a request like that especially, you just do it. It didn't matter how many drives, it didn't matter how hard she had to work. It didn't matter how many phone calls or how many contacts. She was determined that she would make this a possibility and save his life.
When Arlene called me about setting up the initial drive at the college, she was driven. She was partnering with God, and they were not going to stop until they found a match.
What drove Arlene, I think, was that this whole bone marrow issue became a calling for her. When she quickly understood how difficult it was, not only for Jay to find a donor, but for so many other people, and actually, I think, became her calling in life.
When other donors were found for people who were looking for matches, I think that Arlene became even more tenacious, even more ready, really ready, to continue the search and say to herself, we will find someone. I think because Arlene learned so much and knew so much truly about the whole picture of what happens when you need a bone marrow transplantation. She became like the world's leading authority. I mean, I know nurses and doctors who couldn't explain things as well as she did.
She didn't say, you have to save my son. She always talked about saving people in need who were so sick. And I think that impacted people tremendously. Her strength, her advocacy was unparalleled. Lots of people have causes, but she had a passion to see this through.
It started with Jay. It didn't end with Jay. It didn't stop and say, okay, we did our thing, now let's move on with our lives. It just continued because she understood what was necessary and what was needed so desperately that she just took it on and never stopped.
As a bone marrow transplant physician myself, I can say that one of the legacies that Arlene leaves is diversifying the pool of donors that are available for our patients. We know that bone marrow type is often inherited along ethnic lines, and that means that people who are in minority groups, people who are underrepresented on other registries, now have a chance for the first time of finding a donor, something that was really not possible just a few years before. I think that patients in desperate situations are searching for some help, some encouragement, some support. What better person than Arlene throughout the years, who went through that herself, who understood to her very core what it was like in that desperate situation to go on and encourage other patients, other families who now find themselves in the same situation.
Arlene's advice to the family was always be positive. It'll work, it'll happen. Be positive. Our drive for my brother was, I think, the largest drive, not only for Gift of Life, but in the bone marrow world. It was for 17,000 people. For our family, it meant a lot to have someone like Arlene on our side and our corner, because we needed the strength.
I had just learned that one of my dearest friends was diagnosed with AML, and that the only real option for him was a bone marrow drive. Feeling the weight of the world on my shoulders, how am I going to save his life? Ultimately ended up reaching Gift of Life, and the person who answered the phone was Arlene. Getting that kind of support and unbiased information, it was like going from the darkness into the light.
What I will miss most about Arlene is her smile, her friendliness, her vision to take Gift of Life to the next level. One who saves one life is like he saved an entire world. Can you imagine how many worlds Arlene Feinberg has saved?
Tikkun olam and pikuach nefesh were inherent in every step she took and in everything she did. The belief that we have to be responsible for others in this world, and to see that others outside of our immediate family are well cared for, and that we bring resolution to problems that may impact their lives, I think that was critical to her. This was her life. When you would see her at a dinner, she was beaming as she would look on stage when they would take a photo of all the recipients and their matches that were able to meet, and they would be like, it looked to me like there were hundreds of people on the stage, and you watched her face and Jack's face, and it just said how proud we are of Gift of Life. Oh, I do think it is her legacy.
There were some human beings had a rise above, and she sure did.
She was just wonderful, energetic, cheerful, hopeful. It was so easy to be with her, so easy to talk to her. I loved her so much.
I'm gonna miss her. I do miss her.
And Arlene taught me the most valuable lesson of a mom, and that's to never, ever give up on your child, no matter what the circumstances. That's what moms do. They never, ever, ever give up on you.
I'm very grateful to know the Feinberg family and to have known Arlene, a beautiful, beautiful spirit that lived here on earth with us.
I can picture Arlene's face, her smile, her eyes lighting up. I miss her so much, and I know everyone does. The Gift of Life is a continuation of who she is, and may the Gift of Life just continue in its amazing, wonderful things that it does every day to help people in this world.